The more you read up on how broken our money system is, the more you're like, oh wow, this is a serious problem. It's the same thing in the music industry.
I am on a mission to get all of Gen Z onto a Bitcoin lifestyle. And fix the money, fix the world. What that means to me is if we don't fix the money, there will not be a world.
We need to educate the younger people on what's actually wrong with the world. Many of us grow up in nice houses here in Florida and really don't have a clue of what's coming for us.
At school, I started the crypto club here at Florida Gulf Coast University, and I did that I felt like there was a need for it. I'm a finance student.
My best girlfriends who I went to middle school with, who I still am very close with to this day, when I tell them about, the success that I've had earning Bitcoin off of my music,
I just want to start us off with a real quick lightning round. One word, what is Bitcoin?
Freedom.
Truth.
independence.
I love it. I like energy, but the point is Bitcoin is different to each of us. So we all bring our unique talents to this community and to this ecosystem. And I'm proud of you guys for representing Bitcoin in the younger generation and kind of doing that work for the community. So when I say fix the money, fix the world, what does that mean to you?
Guess I'll go first. Well, first and foremost, thank you everyone for being here today. It took probably a lot of time and energy and gas money to be here, so very thankful. My name's Ainsley Costello. Just to give you a brief overview on my story, if you are at all familiar with me, you might be wondering, she's not a finance person, what is she doing here? I'm a musician, I'm a singer-songwriter, and I live in Nashville, and I think when I hear fix the money, fix the world, I also hear fix broken industries. In the music industry and the overarching entertainment industry is immensely broken the more you read up on it. I'm sure it's like the more you read up on how broken our money system is, the more you're like, oh wow, this is a serious problem. It's the same thing in the music industry. So when I hear fix the money, fix the world, I hear fix artists relegated to poverty, basically just we sign up to do the thing that we are called to do from, the moment we get here. I am very much a believer of like, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a performer. That's what I was put here to do. And I think fixing the money and fixing the world means if we fix it for me, we fix it for every artist who is struggling, not just in Nashville, but in New York, in LA, in marginalized communities all over the world. And so I think that's a short overview on what I mean when I say fix the money, fix the world.
I am on a mission to get all of Gen Z onto a Bitcoin lifestyle. And fix the money, fix the world, what that means to me is if we don't fix the money, there will not be a world, right? There will not be a world for Gen Z. We will not be able to live the life that we thought we were going to be able to, and now we can. So if we fix the money, if Bitcoin is the perfect, money that everyone can use all over the world, then I think we'll maybe fix the world. I don't think that's going to happen in my lifetime, but the reason that I do what I do is not for my kids, but for my kids' kids, because that's what this is all about.
T.
All right, so my opinion on fix the money, fix the world would probably be we need to educate the younger people on what's actually wrong with the world. Many of us grow up in nice houses here in Florida and really don't have a clue of what's coming for us. Everybody assumes everything's gonna be all right, and I'm not trying to be like a downer. Hopefully everything will be all right, but as everybody here knows, some stuff isn't right in the world. So I think me being young, the education system not really getting me properly educated on the things that are actually going to matter, we're set up for a disadvantage. So I think all of us have a great opportunity being young to help all the other young people, just educate them on the problem, and then they can use their brain and find the solution that we already all know about. We just have to just teach them the problem.
100%, 100%. So just so the crowd, just so the boomers know, what does Gen Z think of Bitcoin? Let's just get some overall statistics, overall vibe.
I can go. All right, so Gen Z, I'm a junior in high school. The social groups and circles can be very mean to each other sometimes. Sometimes it feels like we're separated. But everybody likes to claim on to what everybody else claims on to, like be the same, so they can feel like they're part of a group. Bitcoin is not in any group right now. So there's always a very select few that may know about it, like me, for example. When I bring it up to whether it's the like football kids or the kids that are in the ACE program, but it doesn't go into either of their groups, so they kind of just push it away. And it makes me feel like I'm alone compared to those groups, because everybody likes to be by each other's sides. And if there's not a mass agreeing, they may know there's some truth to it, but they'll just hide from it in fear.
Are you saying they want to conform? And right now, the majority doesn't understand or know about Bitcoin, and so that makes them want to be part of the group and not understand Bitcoin?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that people are kind of just hiding in fear, together, conforming, and they know there is a problem. Like they can tell there's stuff going on social media. Everybody's always on social media. They're being controlled by social media. Every action that I make and my friends make to like do stuff together often has influence from social media, as you guys already know. So with that being said, if like Bitcoin is not like very prevalent on social media, so people don't care much for it yet.
I actually, it's interesting that you're a junior in high school. I'm a junior in college, and I come from I think it's a different ecosystem a little bit. It's kind of contained differently. I was tabling for a crypto club last year, and it was a little makeshift. I didn't have any, banners. Everyone else had their decorations and stuff to give out, but I just did it last minute, and I was running out of papers because so many people were signing up, and they were like, I really want to get into it. I only know about XRP, or
Gross.
But so many kids already had their Coinbases set up, already had they were already day traders or something like that. So UT is a little bit different, and
And they were coming from my class. Like I sent
Yeah.
them, like you have to go sign up for Bitcoin Club
Yeah.
to get credit.
Yeah, and so it was really interesting. And there was a lot of freshmen, a lot of 18-year-olds just coming up to me. And I can't remember what the statistic is. I don't know if it's like 19% of the school are abroad, coming from abroad. And so I was speaking to kids from Mozambique, from Portugal, and they all were into crypto. So I thought that was really interesting. So Tampa is a little bit different, and I'm grateful for that. So it's encouraged to get into it because it's a tech-savvy school. Everyone is studying the markets. It's like mandatory to do so. So coming from different sides of the playing field, I think that's really interesting that it's broad with our generation.
Yeah, and right now there's only 1% of the world that owns Bitcoin. So obviously there's not going to be that many people that are into it. At school, I started the crypto club here at Florida Gulf Coast University, and I did that I felt like there was a need for it. I'm a finance student, and I went to the stock club a lot. They would talk about alternative investments, bring up real estate, oh, it's so amazing, bring up crypto. We don't even need to talk about it, let's just move on, because nobody here is investing in it. So when we're creating these spaces where we're making crypto a bad thing and something that we're not going to even invest in, how is the adoption going to grow for our generation? So that's why I went home, made a plan, started the club, and I've faced a lot of rejection, right? So 30 professors I asked to be the advisor for this club. Every single one of them said no, or they didn't even answer my email. Then I find one woman her name's Kristen Musselman. She's a management teacher, fantastic lady. She said, I don't know anything about crypto, but I'll help you. And I said, thank you. I put her name on. I sent the application in. No more questions. And I started the club being very optimistic. I'm so passionate about it. Other people are going to be passionate about it. The first 5 to 6 meetings was me and like one other kid. And I was like, hey, buddy, I'm going to tell you about Bitcoin. And, I was frustrated and I didn't want to keep doing it because I thought, well, this is not going to grow. I'm doing all this advertising and flyers and social media, and it looks cool, so why aren't people coming? They're scared. They are listening to their parents who are telling them, you don't need to focus on that. You need to focus on your studies. I'm paying for your school, and you're going to do what I say. So I think a lot of it just comes from fear of the unknown. And, I really hate to say this, but my generation, isn't the brightest in all aspects, right? We grew up digitally. We rely on ChatGPT, Gemini. We rely on social media news. These are all very fake fiat things that we do not need to be getting our information from. So I think if we can create a place for Gen Z to get good information that's valid and real about Bitcoin, it'll help them, adopt it more. But at the end of the day, there's only 1%, so there's not much we can do now.
I see a couple of different ways that Gen Z kind of views Bitcoin. First lens is my best girlfriends who I went to middle school with, who I still am very close with to this day. When I tell them about, the success that I've had earning Bitcoin off of my music, sometimes their first instinct to tell me is like, isn't that a pyramid scheme? Isn't that like a not good thing? And then, we'll have a conversation about it, and eventually they warm up to it, and they're not immediately a no anymore, but hesitant for sure. And then I see this other bucket, which is like putting on my artist in Nashville hat. And if you think about like a Venn diagram of just artists over time and then change, over here, there is always some crossover. Artists are always at the forefront of huge change, whether that's political change, whether that's like, oh my gosh, there's this new drum machine in the 80s, we all have to put this into our music. And so artists in Nashville, when I tell them about my success here, it's always a 3-hour conversation, sure, but they're also like, I get it, that's really cool. Can you teach me about how to do this? And I think my big goal right now is when I tell my artist friends in Nashville about this, and I tell them about the success that I've had, which, just to kind of fill you guys in real quick, I got into Bitcoin in July of 2023. I live in Nashville. Who'da thunk? We have this place called Bitcoin Park in Nashville. There was a Lightning Summit happening, and that's where I bumped into Sam Means, who is the founder of an up-and-coming streaming service called Wave Lake, where you can put your music up, or you can just listen to music, and you can get paid or pay in sats, in micropayments. I put up one song called Cherry on Top, and it became, apparently, and it still baffles me today, the first song to ever earn 1 million sats, and that was, thank you, I appreciate it. Wild stuff. And I got into Bitcoin when it was about 25,000, do the math. That was the first time I ever saw a full return on investment for what I put into a song and I got back out of it, which is so exciting. And also, for those of you who don't know, music is not an inexpensive thing to make. The going rate in Nashville to create one song is just $1,000. That is not counting mixing, that's not counting mastering, that's not counting photography, marketing, all the things. But my artist friends in Nashville, they get it. And when I tell them about my success, they're like, absolutely, sign me up. Where do I sign? But now I think my goal is to get every artist who comes into this space, who puts their music on Wavelake, who puts their music on Fountain, which is another great Spotify, Apple Music type replacement app. They need to have the same success that I have seen, if not more. My success that I have seen in this space needs to be the rule and not the exception, because if not, we are creating another form of the music industry with the same problems. And so those are kind of the two buckets that I see when I see Gen Z's reaction to it. It's either this really like, that's a pyramid scheme, that is a black market internet thing, don't go anywhere near it. And then other times it's like, wait, no, that's cool, I'm curious about this, tell me more about it.
Let's keep going on that. You hit on a couple of them. What are some other common misconceptions that you hear when you're trying to educate people about Bitcoin and even economics?
Well, I was just with my friend, and I'm often spending times with friends and their parents and stuff, and I always like to bring it up to just hear how other people think about it. One of the main things I hear is Bitcoin is crypto, and crypto is Bitcoin. And I like to try to say it's very separate, and they think it's all not trustworthy. They don't know the difference between proof of work and proof of stake. And I think that needs to be pushed more onto people so they can understand it. I noticed that they teach their kids to stay away from things they don't know about themselves. So a lot of times the kids I talk to completely shut it out because, of course, they trust their parents. Their parents take care of them. And sometimes they think their parents know everything, when in fact sometimes they do not. So I notice a lot of times they just are very afraid to listen to something that their parents don't agree with entirely.
I think for me, the biggest thing I hear is, if I talk about, oh yeah, I buy Bitcoin, you have $100,000? No, you don't.
Just buy XRP. It's only $3.
Yes, the amount of times it might not even be a misconception, but it's like they are brainwashed into this whole crypto meme coin lifestyle to where I might just be talking about Bitcoin and they'll just say XRP. And I'm like, okay, but why is that better? XRP. Okay, so you obviously have no idea what you're talking about, but I think for me the biggest misconception is just the fact that they think you have to buy a whole Bitcoin. And that's not just Gen Z, but that's a lot of people that I talk to. They think you just have to buy a whole one. And some people have told me, oh, I'm waiting for it to go down because I want to be able to buy a Bitcoin. And I'm like, honey, it's not going down that far. And number two, you can buy $1 of Bitcoin on Cash App right now. Like, you do not need to be buying a whole coin.
I think another misconception that I see is that people, at its core, they don't understand that it's technology. That's something that I think I've really tried to reframe when I'm talking to my artist friends, or even just like my actual like personal Ainsley the person friends. It's technology, and I think the other great thing that we could get into about this whole other like subspace of Bitcoin. Is anybody in here familiar with Nostr? Can I get a show of hands? Okay, how many people are actively on Nostr and like engage with it? Okay, everybody in this room, your hands need to be up at some point in time. That is your homework. Okay, amazing. I see a couple of people. Awesome. And when I try to give the technology framing of Bitcoin, inevitably the Nostr conversation comes up. And when I'm telling people, okay, think about how annoying it is to have one post that you have to copy and paste and go put it on Instagram, and then you have to resize it and go put it on TikTok, and then you have to resize it and go put it on Twitter. With Nostr, that's not the case. You can upload one time, and it goes to every single Nostr client, and you can get paid in micro payments, or somebody could send you an entire Bitcoin over the Lightning Network if they so choose, which is incredible. But I also try to think about it in the terms of like, if Instagram and TikTok and Twitter all go away tomorrow, what value do you retain from that? They are ones and zeros sitting on a computer in Silicon Valley somewhere. With Nostr, if I get paid an entire Bitcoin for a post that I put up today and Nostr goes away tomorrow, that whole Bitcoin, whatever amount that you chose to send me, is still going to be in my wallet. It's not going to go away, and that's something that I can put towards my music. That's something I can put towards like going and buying myself a nice blush at Ulta, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's technology, and I think if you really think about it like that, and you don't think about the political connotations and the stigmas with it, that it's a left or a right-leaning thing, and you really just try to think about it, how it's an amazing thing for everyone, that, and also the sustainability and energy aspect piece of it. One of my best friends, she is what I would call like a very smart person, does very smart people things. She goes to Wash U in St. Louis, and she does like environmental law stuff. And when I saw, there's a great film that I think everyone should watch called The Unbanked Film. And there was a couple minute segment in there about how Bitcoin can be really great for energy and sustainability, and one of our other panelists touched on that earlier today, and I was like, oh, when I saw this, she would get it if it was framed like this. Her immediate reaction wouldn't be like, oh, isn't that like not good? And so I think it's constantly just about adjusting how you frame things for different groups of people, because you constantly have to adjust it. Pitching Bitcoin is not a one size fits all for every group that you're going to talk to.
100%. You mentioned it's a technology, it's a tool. Bitcoin is not a religion, and it's not the ends. It's a means to an ends. So when I talk about reclaiming our culture, we want to be a culture, not a cult. We want to be free thinkers who question the system that we live in and implement actionable change within our communities. So when we say Bitcoin is a tool, and Bitcoin is the best money ever invented. That's just a fact. So what are the goals that we are trying to achieve in this community through Bitcoin?
I think some things that our generation is thinking that they're not going to be able to get right now, is things like a nice car, or if you have a family, 2 cars, a house, a pool, a vacation at least once a year, right? I just saw a thing on Instagram the other day that said to live the American dream, right? 2 parents, 2 kids, a couple pets, 2 cars, just an average lifestyle, $5 million. That's how much it costs to do the American dream today. So I don't think that...
Over what time period was that?
I'd have to pull
Per
up...
year, or? That seems a little extreme, even for
like
this
to raise 2 kids, to have a
Over the
family,
lifetime of the kids?
yeah, probably like 18 years. And I just think that that's ridiculous. I think a lot of people my age are kind of just settling with what they have. Like, they're okay with, not having the nicest car. They're okay with maybe not having kids. That's a really big thing that my generation is kind of giving up, just because you have to feed yourself first. And that's already so hard for us to do. And I really think that Bitcoin is a tool. A lot of people my age think that it's the main goal. They think, oh, she's already up there. She's got Bitcoin. Maybe I'll be there one day. But you won't be anywhere unless you buy Bitcoin, right? That's the tool that you need to get freedom, to have a house, to have a car, to have a family, to go on vacation, to just have a quality of life that's enjoyable. I don't think it's that much to ask for, but I think that the state that we're in right now, Bitcoin may be the only option.
I really like that. I really like looking at statistics and then seeing, I think it was 2000 to 2025, the median house went from 120, essentially like 119 to 419 now. But incomes didn't 4x, but you could probably afford that 419 house on a 50-year mortgage, But also, I like to see the Bitcoin as the denominator rather than the dollar. It looks depressing when you see something like that, and it's like, oh, you'll never get that median house. The average house is an average house, 3-bed, 2-bath. But the house didn't get any better, didn't improve any better. It didn't turn into granite and marble. It's just that regular wooden house. But if you look at it over Bitcoin, it turns from, back then, I think it was like 2014, it was like 459 Bitcoin, to now it's like 6.6. So it looks a lot better.
Changing our perspective,
yes,
and looking at the world through a sound money lens. When we're measuring everything in fiat, it's depressing. And it's discouraging because everything is getting more expensive. But we have to change our view to that the dollar is getting less valuable. Measure the house prices in Bitcoin. That's kind of encouraging. Mm-hmm. When you start stacking sats, start building your Bitcoin treasuries, and then you think, okay, well, when do I need a house? 10, 20 years? I can do it. That's encouraging. That's empowering. So in my economics classes, you can't teach economics without teaching Bitcoin. And you can't teach Bitcoin without teaching inflation. So, the good and the bad, the inflation versus the Bitcoin. So in many ways, Bitcoin is the solution to so many of the problems that your generation has. We can move to the next one. With Bitcoin education, and really financial, economic, and just what is money? Education about money and personal finances through your educational career, what has the school done right? What has the school done wrong? And what are you doing personally to educate people about sound money?
All right, so this is what I like to talk about. I'm going to start all the way back and ask what makes things valuable. I'm not a very technical person by any means. I'm not tech savvy. I don't know how to code. Wouldn't be able to make Bitcoin on my own. But I would say I understand why things are valuable. In a way, I've read enough. I've done wrestling and understand proof of work. Sometimes, like, it takes a lot of work to get somewhere. And there's different reasons why things are valuable, and people don't really understand that. We measure everything in fiat, and it kind of makes a misconception of how much some stuff is worth. People don't understand markets. I don't expect high schoolers to understand how markets work. I fully don't even understand how all the markets work. Like, how could I? Like, why are some houses so much more expensive than others? Why is the Mona Lisa worth millions of dollars if it's just a painting with some paint on it? A lot of people don't even understand that. I think Bitcoin 100% is the tool to get everybody there and realize that, like, there's not unlimited time. Bitcoin has its own time chain. If everybody could understand that, I'd say that would be a really, really big step. Time is the most valuable thing we have. Everybody's going to die eventually. So I think Bitcoin can help us utilize our life the most.
I noticed that you said, like, what has the school done right and what has the school, like, failed us a little bit. I didn't really learn money in school. I didn't even learn markets. I actually learned that at UT. But I had, like, one maybe week of credit lessons from my history teacher who went rogue. He went off script, and he was like, I need to teach you guys about credit cards right now. And I paid attention because now, just a little backstory. I own three businesses, but two of them, one is a credit repair company, and then one is a consulting company. And I make it my business to educate people about credit. And, either that means repairing it, building it, and maintaining it, or if you're a brand new 18-year-old with nothing, how to build it right, build it strong, so that at 22 you can do whatever you want. And I've made myself the guinea pig, and I've proven it. So I'm proud of that process, and my high school is proud of that process because they've invited me to their class. And now this semester it's brand new, but I'm bringing a credit workshop, a finance workshop, where I teach young 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds about credit, but then also investing. So what does that mean to invest in yourself? What does that mean to own a business through college, to be a business owner, to work, and also investing in the stock market, investing in the crypto market. I learned the stock market through my dad. So he was all stocks and cash. He didn't like the banks. He didn't trust them. So he's still a cash guy. I'm orange peeling him a little bit, working on him. But so I'm bringing that to my high school, and because I made it my business to kind of be proof that our generation is hardworking. We want to grow. We're hungry for it. I've proven something to the generation before me to then kind of bring that on to, like, the young Gen Zers or the Gen Alpha or something like that. And I really want them to know that Bitcoin is the future of money, and they need to invest in themselves, and this is one way to do it.
100%. A little background on Melania. She's the president of our Bitcoin Club at University of Tampa. It's the largest club on campus. We teach economics, finance, health, culture, all around Bitcoin. So she was also the professor's assistant in the first Bitcoin economics class at the university level. So we had a ton of fun. And I would encourage other college students, let the faculty know that there is demand for Bitcoin education, because it's not going to come from the top down. Professors are dinosaurs. They move very slow, and they don't want the new thing. Bitcoin is the new thing that challenges the system. So from Gen Z, they need to hear, we don't want to learn about economics from 300 years ago. We want to learn about the here and the now and the economics of Bitcoin. Demand it, like we've done at University of Tampa, and we will fill those classes. We got retweeted by Saifedean Ammous. The community wants Bitcoin education because that's how we get real adoption, empowering the individuals through education.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that it's pretty awesome that there's already universities that have classes like this, and we're only 15 years in, right? At FGCU, they're just starting to do a little intro into crypto and Bitcoin. And I actually took a blockchain class last semester. Was it surface level? Yes. Did I love it? Absolutely. I was the only one in the class raising my hand every single 5 minutes. They're probably like, who is this girl? I'm just taking this class as an elective. What's going on here? But the point is that it's happening. And, the teacher told me, this is the first class. If it does well, we might get another one. And then we might get another one. And as long as people sign up for the class, it can be there. And as long as the teacher doesn't say anything that can, be a conflict of interest or where the parents could come back and blame it on the teacher, it should be fine. So, of course, it's going to be hard, but I think it's very possible. And back to your point when you were talking about what's, the school teaching us about money, what have they failed us and what have they done well? I think it all depends on what you study. Of course, in elementary school, and they're not really teaching you about anything besides how to count quarters and dollars, but now in college, you actually have the choice for what you want to study. So if you don't know about money, you should study finance. That's what I do, and I've learned a lot about money. And when I have students come up to me and say things, bad about Bitcoin or, CBDC, isn't going to happen, right? That's never going to happen. That's just a fake, myth. I'm going to say, all right, well, remember class last week when we opened the textbook and we did our chapter on CBDCs? You really think they're putting CBDCs in the textbooks at a public school if it wasn't going to happen? They're getting us ready for what's going to happen. So I just
Ignorance
like to...
by design.
Yeah, everything's by design. So that's why I like to just kind of circle back to something that they understand. So in finance, it's easier because we learn a lot about money. I had a whole class called Money and Capital Markets where it was just about the Fed. That's all we talked about was the Fed. You don't get that opportunity with a liberal arts degree. So I think it's about choice. It's about taking the initiative to learn about it. And then, once you're there, not being so closed off to it. You have to be more open-minded and accepting. Even if you don't know, you have to take the time to learn.
100%. Love it.
I also, if I could add, real quick, it's interesting to hear your guys' take on Bitcoin education because you guys were still in school when, you really kind of became involved in Bitcoin for the first time. I graduated from Berklee College of Music when I was 19, very atypical schooling. Thank you, appreciate it. So I had a very atypical schooling experience, and I found out about Bitcoin a couple of months after I graduated. And so my experience with not only educating myself, but educating my target demographic and my fans, I think we can't overlook the importance of educating in real life scenarios that aren't just in a classroom in places like this, because all of us in this room to some extent believe in Bitcoin. We wouldn't be here if we didn't agree with that sentiment in some way. But really where I've seen so much success is because of what I do is just such a niche within the Bitcoin world where I talk about music and I perform music for people. Some of the most exciting ways that people have found out that this is actually a thing is, when we did Adam Curry's Boostagram Ball live at Antone's in Austin, Texas at December of 2024, which is an insanely legendary venue, but we had screens up where you could see people boosting and zapping in real times, and where your money was going straight to the artist's wallet, where they could then pay their band, and then they could then pay their travel fees. And so I think it's also really important to just think about the more that we can bring culture into educating other people on Bitcoin. That is so, so important because, again, artists and arts, just in any way, shape, or form, are always at the forefront of how people adopt and become excited and aware about these new technologies. So if you can find an artist on Wavelake or Fountain that you really love and you want to support, and then you can get your grandma into the Bitcoin universe in on that. If you can get your best friend in on going and finding a movie that you love on Indie Hub, which is a great Netflix replacement where you can buy movies and TV shows with Bitcoin. That is truly, truly so important, and I don't think we can overlook the importance of bringing culture into the education piece of onboarding people to Bitcoin.
100%.
Absolutely.
Culture, education, spending Bitcoin, that's a whole nother panel that is very applicable. So I want to thank you guys for doing this panel. I want to thank John Drew for making this happen, because there is a generational divide economically and culturally in our society. So a lot of it is the things you've talked about, the feelings of, well, we might not be able to have the lives statistically that our parents or grandparents had. Housing, education, healthcare. So I want to open it up for a couple questions from the audience so you can interface with Gen Z.
Ainsley, you mentioned Nostr. I'm glad you did that, because I'm a true believer that that is the social media of the future, because Bitcoin's integrated into it. So you could get zapped as an artist if you post a song. What is all of your other experiences with Nostr? Is it even part of the equation yet, or is it still too early for your generation? So your generation thrives on social media. So.
Yeah. Well, Ainsley is actually the one who got me into it. So from, being friends with her and talking to her about her success with it, I decided to join, and she told me, the community's really welcoming. They'll love you, just, make a couple posts, follow me. And I go on there and people just start zapping me money like for no reason. And I'm like, okay, I do like this app. So, I think in the future, maybe 5-10 years, I can see it being used more. But if, again, there's only 1% of the people that are into it, not that many are Gen Z, they're already so consumed with Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Snapchat, every single other one, that once they find out they can make money off of it, then they'll probably go.
First, I just want to say, great job. What a great record.
It's so encouraging to know that, if I could just add one thing really quickly, this is the future of what Bitcoin looks like. I think this is correct me if I'm wrong.
These are the faces of Bitcoin. This is the future of
But
Bitcoin, the
also,
community.
I think this is the first panel we've had today where it's been a majority of women on the panel, which is so exciting. Continue with your question.
I'm curious too, are your parents here? They must be so proud. But my question is for Madison. How many people are in your group now?
Now we have about 75 members. Yes. So we've grown a lot. Of course, we only started with that one guy. He was an OG member. He's an OG. But now having 75 members is really cool. We have, not all 75 members come to every meeting, of course, but we have a solid 20, I'd say, that would come to the meetings regularly. And then I also got in with some of the teachers, where I got the teachers to give their classes extra credit if they come to my meeting. So I have a little sign-up sheet and have the kids come, and they may not want to be there, but they're there, and they're hearing the message.
Last question right here.
Learning about Bitcoin, learning about money, how has that changed your work ethic as a teenager compared to your friends? What does it make you value your time with making money and see a brighter future for yourself versus what you would have thought before?
All right, so I started learning about Bitcoin probably around my 8th grade year, and I got to read a lot about it for my age, of course. And then I realized I can't work a normal job when I'm older. That was my first realization. I didn't really know why. I never wanted to work a usual job. I don't agree with working hourly a ton. That's just my personal opinion. But then with Bitcoin, I slowly realized why I feel that way. I had no clue why before. Of course, I wanted to be quote unquote rich. I mean, who doesn't want to be in middle school? But I didn't know why I felt any of these ways, or why my mom was always complaining about groceries or going up, or why this is more expensive or that's more expensive. So Bitcoin has really taught me that what you do with your time matters, what you do with your energy really does matter, and what you do with your brain overall matters. If you're not constantly learning about stuff you care about, then you're gonna fall behind. What you care about is up to you. But if you don't use your brain for yourself, and you just use it to doom scroll on social media and give big companies statistics, then you're just gonna fall behind. That's my opinion on it. I would say one thing I wanna close out with is I think we need to influence people our age to ask a lot more questions. I feel like everybody's really quiet. I can see in people's eyes when I bring it up. They know something's up. Like, I can sense it. It's an energy in the room. People are just really worried to ask questions. I think with more social media posts over time, with more crazy stuff happening with the government, people are going to slowly realize that something is wrong. People have to realize there's something wrong first before they go looking for the solution. We, of course, already have both those steps done, but the first one for teenagers and young adults is they need to know something's wrong. They have no clue. She pays for all my food. I live under a roof. I don't really have to do much. I mean, she got me my car. I drive to high school every day, talk to my friends, have fun. Of course, I work a lot as well. I care about my future, but I'm a general high schooler still. And if I didn't have Bitcoin, I would be lost. I mean, I'd have to go to college, get into debt. She couldn't pay for my college right now. Just, sorry, Mom. Just the truth. A lot of people are set up that way. So I think Bitcoin is really the only answer, and we just need to push onto people to use their own brains to think.
Bitcoin is hope. The future face of Bitcoin. Let's give him a round of applause.
Also, say happy birthday to Madison. It's her 21st birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you, thank you. In true Gen Z fashion, we yapped and went 7 minutes over. Sorry, everyone.